Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Now I have got a plan that can make the Firearms Licensing Authority redundant, can make it totally irrelevant to this country, and where people, every decent citizen in this country, can have a firearm without fear of prosecution or with very little chance of being persecuted. So before I tell you what that plan is, I need to lay the foundation for why I have decided to take this step to divulge this plan for everybody to see and encourage people to work with this plan and make the FLA redundant. All right. The first factor is that the government is paying very, very little attention to the crime situation in Jamaica. That's one. Second thing is, based on the past history, it is clear that neither of the two major parties are able to protect the citizens of this country, nor are they willing to protect the citizens of this country. Three, the government cannot protect the people. It does all in its power to ensure that the decent citizens of the country cannot defend themselves. They are left to the mercy of the charismites. And notwithstanding these realities, successive administrations have maintained a strict policy of keeping legal firearms out of the hands of decent citizens of Jamaica. This policy is so extreme that not even our law enforcers, who have proven themselves to be of exemplary character, is considered capable of owning their own weapons. As I have said before in another post, only the elite who do not need guns, who do not need protection, get them. The elite live in gated communities with bodyguards, and by the elite, I mean our parliamentarians and their cronies, because crime will never affect them. Now, when you live in a country should be able to guarantee its citizens a reasonable degree of safety and security. And it is abundantly clear that the Jamaican government cannot or will not do that. Therefore, the onus is on the citizens to protect themselves. It is an inalienable right for citizens to protect their lives and their property. That should be non-negotiable. So that being the case, since the government has closed off all avenues for decent Jamaicans to acquire legal weapons to defend themselves and their property, it is only fair that these citizens do what they have to do to protect themselves. How dare any authority in any country be totally and dismally ineffective and fixing crime, then turn around and deny the right of the citizens the opportunity to protect themselves? It is only fair to contend that no government who is incapable of fixing crime or unwilling to fix crime should have the moral right to turn down and deny any citizen the right to protect themselves. So basically, this is where I'm going. Now, let me continue. If you want to hear the plan, just stick with me a bit, because I'm going to lay out the plan, and all these citizens in Jamaica who need a firearm can just go by these instructions and see if it works and get back to me, and I'll fill in further details when the time is right. Now, I think that at all times, lethal force from the charismites should be met with an equal amount of force from the good guys. And the good guys cannot only be the security forces, because the security forces cannot be everywhere at all times. Therefore, the only practical thing to do is to arm these citizens so that they can defend themselves when the need occurs. And this is not strictly about defending oneself when the need occurs. Let's face it, The need might never occur, but an essential aspect of safety is peace of mind. The knowledge that if the time ever came where there was a need to defend oneself, one would be able to do so. So safety is not about being safe, it's about feeling safe. The first thing the government does is to make excuses when it comes to fixing crime by stating that it cannot take certain measures because their hands are tied due to inadequate legislation to govern and guide those actions. Then they drag their feet and don't even enact those laws. And on the rare occasion that they do enact those new laws, those laws turn out to be totally useless. Like, for example, the anti-gang, the most recent anti-gang legislation. If the government was serious about dismantling gangs, then all 63 of those Klansman gang members who were arrested in the original dragnet would have been automatically found guilty, because if you had not been associated with the gang, you would not have been caught in the dragnet. If the government was serious, then the only criteria one would need to convict them is that you hang out with them. And once you hang out with gang members, you are a gang member. And that is the easiest thing to prove. But instead, the governments want you to show your pay slip and your ID from the gang to show that you have been paid by them and have a rank and everything with these gang members, which is impossible. There is none. What is significant is that none of the gang members were convicted of gang membership. They were convicted of other crimes. That is the 15. This is how parliamentarians protect hoodlums, pretend to go after criminals in order to appease the public, but actually do nothing but pander to the idea of doing something. Therefore, some people might say that I'm a lawbreaker. In some contexts, that might be true, but unjust laws are supposed to be opposed. For example, remember that slavery was once legal? At that time, if one was to try and escape from one slave master, one was considered a criminal. So if we all agree that some laws are unjust, then laws that prevent decent people from owning firearms in a society where there are 40 deaths per 100,000 persons, the highest in the world, then any law that prevent them from defending themselves is an unjust law and should be opposed. So let me make that quite clear. So the groundwork of the plan is that in order for the concept of decent citizens carrying firearms without impunity is to become a reality, we have to get members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force on board. It cannot be done without them. This is for two reasons. First reason is that once you become a policeman in Jamaica, you are never off duty. Never. You remain on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, till the day you leave the force. The reason is that as a policeman, you are never to see a crime being committed and not intervene to protect life and property. Therefore, if you saw a crime being committed while you were not rostered for duty, and yet you did not act because you were not rostered for duty, you can be brought upon departmental charges, and if found guilty, your salary can be docked or you can get demoted. Yes? So police is never off duty, really, really off duty. He might be off on assignment for a day or two, but he's never off duty at no time in his life, in reality. Yet they will take away the weapon from you if they feel like after you have finished your assigned duties for that shift. And they will not let you have one of your own that you can keep and carry. And then again, even if you have one to keep and care during your assigned duties, what about when you're on leave? You're normally not allowed to take it on leave. And sometimes policemen can go up and up to, depends on how your time in the force, can go on up to 6 weeks leave. Up to 6 weeks. right? And you are left vulnerable just like that. The second reason is that only a policeman can arrest anyone for illegal possession of a firearm. Yes? The simple fact is, if a policeman never arrests you for an offense, you can never be arrested. No MP, no Prime Minister, not anybody. It might surprise some of us to figure out that the same parliamentarians that give poor people picnic the power to of arrest have no such powers of their own. For the purpose of this video, I'll not get into the matter of citizens' arrest. So let me continue. So, with the goal we have in mind, it will be the police that will have to spearhead the program. What they will do is to form a secret society. A secret society that protects its members from being arrested for illegal possession of firearm. So since only a cop can arrest a cop, if the cops carry illegal guns and decide not to arrest each other, then no arrest can take place. It is that simple. Once that is achieved, each member of that secret society within the JCF will be free to carry their own weapons at all times once they form a secret society. In practice, this is how it would work. A set of policemen who worked in close proximity to each other, preferably working in the same outstation, but at the very least working in the same division, they will form a group of 6 members. No more, no less. These 6 members will be known as a cell. The reason for 6 is because no member of this cell will know the members of another cell, even if the members of the other cell exist within the same police station. This is for enhanced secrecy. When you have a secret society, this is how you have to do. Isolate each cell, so each cell doesn't know the other cell or know its members. So if somebody was to even bust on something, it can't reach further than so. It can be easily cauterized and the culprit found and dealt with in whatever way the secret society sees fit. One member of that cell which is formed, will act as a liaison between his cell and another cell. And in order to identify each other, members of the secret society will have to create a code word or a phrase or have a secret hand signal so that when 2 policemen who are in the society meet each other on the street in a situation where a search of one might be necessary, that signal can be given telling the investigating officer to back off. This is where trust comes in. This will have to be a band of brothers who are tighter than blood, men who realize that their very survival depends on each other. For it to work, there is something known in the force as esprit de corps. In French, it means something like the spirit of the group. It is the idea that we need each other, therefore we have to band together because it is the only way we can survive. Yes, the spirit of the group. And this is how it can be done for everybody. As more and more cells are created in other stations and start spreading across divisions, eventually it will spread across the length and breadth of Jamaica in about maybe 2 years. Once it goes island-wide, then it is time to bring in others who are not members of the JCF. So first of all, soldiers, which is another set of security force members, will be asked to create cells of the hidden brotherhood amongst themselves too. Then, of course, we bring in correctional officers. Then we bring in firemen, teachers, nurses, doctors, businessmen, all decent people. And last to be mentioned, but certainly not one, but certainly one of the most important groups to bring into the secret society are farmers. There are at least 7,000 farmers in Jamaica who should have a gun. And this is because of the prayer larceny. And them having a means of protecting themselves should be considered a plus for the country, because since the Minister of Agriculture himself has said that Jamaican farmers are losing a combined estimate of $5 billion to predial thieves, then this would be a plus for the country itself. So if the police were to begin this secret society and then spread it out and spread it across people and choose not to arrest any decent citizen, then basically every decent citizen can have a firearm. Now, some people might ask, so what about dirty policemen who might be involved in criminal activities? Could they not also join the hidden brotherhood and then be free to carry out robberies with their personal weapons? To that I say yes. Of course. Of course. But here's the thing. Every crooked policeman is already carrying an illegal weapon and carrying out robberies. So him becoming a member of the hidden brotherhood is neither here nor there. It is already happening without the hidden brotherhood. In fact, arming decent police is a plus in this case, because an off-duty policeman, who of course is never really off-duty according to the law, can be in a bar drinking with his own firearm, and when the crooked cop enters, he could always dirt the bad cop for violating the covenant of the secret society, which I think is quite reasonable. Now, this is just the basic layout, because it is much more complex than what is said here. But it outlines a fundamental framework from which a structured and organized platform can be realized. I have the finer details worked out, and if any member of the force gets in touch, I am willing to provide the full structure, layout, and administrative prerequisite that will make the program work. Don't mind the government. They are the ones who drop the ball. One of the spin-offs of this secret society is that it will make the Firearms Licensing Authority redundant, because every decent Jamaican will be joining the secret society and not wasting their time going to the FLA. They are the ones who made themselves irrelevant. They have failed to see the frustration out here on the streets. They were acting with blinkers and never stopped to see the damage being done to the nation. I stand by what I say here, and I stand ready to facilitate the formation of the secret society if I'm ever called upon to assist. There are two types of people in the world: leaders and followers. And if you cannot lead, then you must be led. So apparently the government, in conjunction with the Firearms Licensing Authority, have not been able to lead, have not been able to move with the times. So let us lead the leaders. If the government had created a society where we felt safe, then there would have been no need for us to have weapons. But since they have failed, then it is the duty of those who have sworn to serve and protect. To serve and protect by proxy. That is, allowing us to serve and protect ourselves, our families, and our property. And you know, some people might say that these plans cannot work. These are people who have accomplished very little in their lives. Such people are unimaginative. They lack creativity and scope. For them, everything that could have existed already exists. Because they cannot break new ground. They cannot see how anybody else can do so. These non-achievers are people with learning difficulties. They are special needs people. So don't listen to them. These are people who who cannot find any solutions, none at all, they'll never in their life be able to solve anything because they cannot think of anything new to achieve or that anything different, anything can be done differently. So the most they can do is to tear things down. So I, as a person who is innovative, I will always come up with new ideas and new ways and new concepts of doing things because I am here to solve problems. I see a problem and I find a solution. These people with learning difficulties, these special needs people, they cannot solve anything. For while I see a problem and search for a solution, they will find a problem for every solution that is brought forward. Therefore, those are not the people to listen to. Nature abhors a vacuum. So I say to members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, there's a vacuum to be filled. Please fill it. Guys, like, share, leave a comment below, and thank you for listening, and I'll see you in my next video.